Hey everyone, welcome back to my vlog. I'm Robin, or Hobbit's Reading List. This week we're really going to try to push through May's TBR because it's the last full week of May. And I have a lot of prep to do next week before I go on vacation. So we're really going to try to power through some books. Hey everyone, I finished reading Bluebeard. My dad's not going to be happy. I gave it a 3.5. So I felt like I've only read one other Kurt Vonnegut book, and I just preferred Slaughterhouse-Five. I felt like it was more cohesive. I felt like I fell into it more. Like I guess that's the real thing. Like, it's written well. I thought the plot was interesting, and I did start getting really into it, and I wanted to finish it. But that didn't happen until over halfway through the book. I just wasn't connected to the main character. He wasn't, I don't know, I just didn't connect to him that well. So, I'm very sorry, Dad. I know this is your favorite Vonnegut. I did like it. So, for people who don't know, Bluebeard is a fictional book, but it is written as an autobiography of the main character, whose name is Bravo. And he used to be an artist and a painter who was like, I can't remember what it's called now, an abstract expressionist. And he was like friends with Jackson Pollock and stuff. Like, and this is a fictional character, so like there's just like names being thrown out, and like maybe that was part of it. Maybe part of my enjoyment was just that like there was a lot about art, and not that it necessarily expects you to know a lot about art, but there's just a lot. And so it was sometimes hard to follow, especially if it was talking about like the differences between this like abstract expressionism and like modern art, which I guess I had sort of just assumed that it was part of modern art, but apparently I'm wrong. So like I think maybe that's why I didn't connect to it that much, just because I don't know a ton about art. I think I can look at a painting or a picture or whatever, be like, oh, that looks cool, but I don't know anything about like technique or history or really anything. So maybe that was part of it. But it's this guy's autobiography, and he's sort of going through his life and how he ended up where he ended up. And it goes into his experiences with his family, with World War II, with his two marriages, with his friends and other painters, and his painting career. And like it is really interesting. It's amazing how much he experienced in his life. And then his life is sort of shaken up. The coming of a woman named, what was her name? Her first name is Cersei, I know that. Cersei Berman, I think, who essentially just like moves in with him, like tells him that she's moving in for like 4 months. And so like that was interesting. So that's the thing. It was interesting. I did like it. It just, if there's something in the book that is a major reoccurring thing that you sort of need to know about in order to really like fully appreciate the book, and if I don't know about it, then I find it really hard to connect with, right? Like, it's like with when I was reading Mike at Riken, there's a ton about cricket, and that made it really hard for me to connect with. There's a ton about art and the different types of art and stuff like that, and that's really hard to connect with. Whereas if I compare it to How to Excavate a Heart, which I just finished reading yesterday, there's a ton about, I'm going to see if I can pronounce this right, paleoichthyology, which is the study of like prehistoric fish. but the author was like presenting it in a way of like, no one's really gonna know about this, and so things were more simply explained, or just explained in general. So I don't know. I think that really impacts my enjoyment. Like if there's something not obscure, but like if there's just something that I'm not fully aware of, or have more than like a knowledge of like, hey, that's a thing, and it's not explained within the context of the novel, I find it really hard to connect with it. I feel like it's something that just that keeps me out of the novel. So I think that's definitely where that rating comes from. So very sorry for everyone who loves this book. I do recommend people read it. I recommend people read Vonnegut as much as you can, because I think he's a really amazing writer. He just wrote about something that I don't know a ton about. And that's on me, really. So I'm going to go ahead and stop reading for the night. I read for about like 4 hours today outside on the hammock, which is really nice. And then tomorrow I will start reading the Inimitable Jeeves, because I need to wrap that up. But we're making some progress. This is going to be really short because I'm very tired, and I woke up yesterday and my throat was hurting, and that hasn't gone away. But I wanted to check in because I've read one chapter of the Inimitable Jeeves, so I don't really have much to talk about with that. But I am about 58% through Glitterland. I'm really enjoying it. I think that it's really interesting, and it's not like super different from the other Alexis Hall books that I've read, which is the Boyfriend Material series. That's Reese's tail. Reese. But I am really liking it. So for anyone who hasn't read it, Glitterland is about Ash Winters, who is a novelist who also has type 1 bipolar, and so he goes through periods of depression and of depression and mania, which obviously really significantly impacts his life. But he keeps moving the camera with his tail / butt. But pretty much Ash meets this guy named Darian at a gay club, and they hook up, and then Darian sort of inserts his happy little self into Ash's life, and Ash really likes him. And it's really cute. It's really funny. Ash is kind of a jerk, but Darian takes it in stride and corrects him. And it's really cute so far. I just got to a conflict point because Ash has like this friend / ex that like is pretty much his carer, but he obviously resents Ash quite a bit, and that makes Ash feel worse than he already does. So I just got to that part. So I'm really eager to get to the next bits where Ash is back to being happy with Darian again, and now Reese is rubbing on the phone. You're very distracting. I'm trying to make this short. So, but yeah, I have to read the Inimitable Jeeves tomorrow, so I won't be able to continue listening to the audiobook unless I go for a walk tomorrow. But I am working out tomorrow with my personal trainer, so I don't know. Probably won't listen again until Friday. So that's the plan. I really like it, but like I said, I'm trying to make this short because my voice is already sort of shot. So I will film more tomorrow. So I did some podcast editing this morning. I did read another chapter of the Inimitable Jeeves, so I'm gonna try to hopefully read a couple more today. I'm feeling pretty overwhelmed because I have a lot of stuff that I need to get done. Ow. I also have a sunburn, which is really painful because of my sports bra. I have a lot of stuff I need to get done before I go to Boston next weekend. And so it's like I have a lot of work stuff I need to do. I have to film, I have to edit the podcast. I was going to finally edit the beginning of my like Kane's Jawbone series, but I just don't think I'm gonna have time, because I'm also tomorrow night I'm going over to my friend Amy's house for the weekend, and I'll be there the entire time. I won't be back home until Sunday evening, so I won't have time to, there's no possible way. So I know at the beginning of this month I'm like, I'm gonna try to post twice a week, and I did that for 2 weeks. We'll see if June is better. June should be better theoretically. I hope so. But I have figured out why my throat hurts. I was talking to my personal trainer this morning, and I mentioned that like I had taken a test. I'm negative for COVID, but my throat hurts. Don't know why. And I'm like a tiny bit congested. And he's like, I didn't have seasonal allergies for most of my life until I was in my early 30s. And I just looked at him like, I'm in my early 30s. And he's like, he asked when my throat started hurting, and I said Tuesday. And he's like, I think you're allergic to cottonwoods, which were really bad here on Tuesday. He's like, I think that's what's happening. I'm like, okay. So like on one hand, I'm glad I'm not getting sick. On the other hand, I have gone through most of my life without having seasonal allergies and feeling really happy about it, and I don't like that I now have allergies. So I'm kind of annoyed. But I wanted to pop up in here. I wanted to film because as part of trying to like do things off of my to-do list, I've been trying to clean my inbox, which I've just sort of let get away from me. Like it honestly is upsetting to think about the amount of emails I have in my email app, because that has like 5 different email accounts in it. It's in the 40s, which is way more than I typically allow, but just the past month I just haven't been able to keep up with it. So I'm like, I had it on my to-do list. Siri finally picked it, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to like clean just like a little bit. I'm not trying to like get it back down to like 5, but I'm trying to do what I can. And so one of the emails was from TBR. It was aside from my recommendations. So I'm like, all right, well, let's go ahead and get rid of that email. And in order to do that, I had to go buy the books that it was recommended me. Makes sense. So I went to Barnes & Noble. Of course, Barnes & Noble only had one of the 3 books that I was recommended. So I ended up using Pango Books to buy the other 2, which means that I now have 2 emails because they're from different sellers. So I have 2 emails to get rid of that one email. And my brain won't let me delete the receipt emails until I get like shipping confirmations, and then I can't delete those until I get the book. So wasn't really helpful, but whatever. Point is, I got books. I only got 2. I was, like I said, I'm very like anxious and overwhelmed about everything I have to do, so I didn't linger much. But I went and picked up Spellbound by F.T. Lukens. This was recommended to me because it is queer. It's young adult, which is not like my favorite, but I do enjoy it. It just, inevitably, I find myself wanting it to be, I inevitably want it to be spicier. Like, especially if they're like 17, 18, 19. like it's still marketed as young adult, and so I'm just like, I tend to want it to get there, and it doesn't, which is understandable, but it's also something where I'm like so I like spice in my books. So this is about Edison, who goes by Rook, who becomes an apprentice to this mage, Antonia, and he has to keep his spellbinder, which is like this like magical device, like hidden for some reason that I'm not sure of, as well as dealing with having feelings for Antonia's rival's apprentice, whose name is Sun. And something happens where Rook and Sun have to team up, and of course, like, feelings happen. So it looks really interesting. It looks really cute. I've heard really good things about the author, about their other book, which is Ever After, I believe. So I'm really interested to finally get a chance to read them. While I was at Barnes & Noble, I also went and picked up Electric Idol by Katie Robert, which is the sequel to Neon Gods, and it is a modern retelling of Psyche and Eros in this like modern like mini city of Olympus that is like cut off from the rest of the modern world. This is the book that a lot of my friends who have read the series, they say is their favorite, so I'll be interested to see it. Psyche and Eros is one of my favorite stories from Greek mythology, and obviously I know that like the modern retelling in this world does not keep to a lot of the like canon, I guess, from the myths, if the myths can have canon. There's so many different variations of them, but that didn't bother me so much with Hades and Persephone, because there was enough, and the storytelling was really good and everything. I am a little worried though, just because I do love the myth of Psyche and Eros so much. I'll be really interested to see what happens. The other thing I want to make a plea for comments early, just because while I was at Barnes & Noble, they had a table for rom-coms, and a lot of them were, geared towards summer, but also a lot of them were straight, and I would love to know if anyone has any recommendations of a queer rom-com set over summer, preferably in like a beach town or like on a coast or something, so that I can read it while I'm in Boston, because we're not staying in Boston, we're staying about an hour to the east, and so we'll be like right on the coast, and I think it'll just be some nice vacation reading. So if anyone has any recommendations of queer summer rom-coms, leave a comment. But I will check in with you later about probably the Inimitable Jeeves. Hello everyone. I wanted to film a bit because I finished Glitterland. I really liked it. I really like Alexis Hall's writing. There were just like a couple things that sort of bothered me. There was some like towards the like 75% marker, there was some random like and unnecessary like fat phobia, which was kind of a bummer. There was no reason for that to be there. Also, I didn't really struggle with this because I listened to it on audiobook, but there was a novella that was only available on like republished editions of Glitterland, and so I have it in the physical book, but it's not on the audiobook, and I left the physical book at home. So yes, I did buy the Kindle version of Glitterland to read it, and so it's only because of this that I noticed that Darian's dialogue is written in an accent, because Darian is from Essex, and they have a very noticeable way of speaking. They're very distinct accent, which in the audiobook did not bother me at all. But I do have like, it's not really a pet peeve, but like I really struggle with accents that are written phonetically. Like my brain just doesn't do that. And so, like, there were, I saw that there was, like, you know, like, nothing with, you know, F's. And that's fine. Like, it didn't bother me hearing it. I had no issue with it. I have no issue with the actual accent. I think it's actually, like, very, like, whimsical and charming. But seeing any accent written out in dialogue, like, my brain just doesn't do it. So I'm very glad that I listened to it on audiobook, because I might have just, like, not read it if I had known that before. So if that bothers anyone else, like, check it out on audiobook, because it's way more immersive, and the narrator is very good. I don't remember his name, but the one on Audible. And so it's just about, like, their relationship, and it was honestly, like, it is cute, because Darian himself is very cute, but it is, like, the epitome of grumpy sunshine, and I really enjoyed it. Like I said, there were just, like, some small things. I don't know if I'll continue reading this series, because from what I can tell, like, it changes, like, main characters, and it doesn't seem like they're related at all. Like, there's supposed to be, like, I think it's the 5th or 6th book in the series, like, coming out at some point, that has a character that we met in this novel, but the other ones seem very, like, unrelated, and so I don't really understand the point. But if anyone else has read any of the Spires series by Alexis Hall, like, let me know if I should continue reading it, because, like, I liked this one. I think that's it. So I'm actually going to my friend Amy's house for a slumber party this weekend, so I don't know if I'll really film, like, actual clips while I'm there, because I feel like that might be a little awkward. Like, I'll film B-roll, and so I might just check in with you guys on Sunday. So hopefully I can read some of the Inimitable Jeeves, because I told Dad that we would record on Monday, so I need to get cracking on that. So I just wanted to film really quick before I go into work. I left my friend Amy's. We had a really fun weekend. We just pretty much, like, hung out. They got me into watching Letterkenny, and we watched the first 2 seasons yesterday. So that was pretty much my day. I did read a little bit of The Inimitable Jeeves while I was waiting for them to wake up. So I'm, like, I think I'm, like, 35% through. I need to finish it tonight or tomorrow morning, because Dad and I are recording tomorrow. So there's that. I also, I'm annoyed about this, but it's also my own fault, so I can't be too upset. So I bought an extra Audible credit because my library didn't have audio versions of High Fidelity or Schmutz available. And so I bought an extra Audible credit, and High Fidelity was shorter, and so I went ahead and just got an Audible version of it without playing the sample, which is so stupid. I started listening to it this morning, and I hated the narrator. I can't do it. So I paid $15 for nothing, because I can't do it. I can't. If I even try, like, I listen to 5 minutes, the narrator is going to annoy the hell out of me. So I'm not even gonna, yeah. I hate that I did that. I hate that I didn't just take the, like, 2 minutes to play the sample. So learn from my mistakes, friends. So what I'm gonna do is I'll finish the Inimitable Jeeves. I'll ask Siri whether I should read Schmutz or High Fidelity, and that'll be it for the month. So pretty much I'll have one book that I didn't read So I won't get the consequence book, but I also don't get a reward, technically. Although my reward is getting books, and I get books all the time, so, like, whatever. So that's fine. I'm fine with that. And I really can't decide which one I want it to be, so yes, I will have Siri pick. So I just wanted to update that. I will really try to I'll really try to read the Inimitable Jeeves tonight, so I'm not going to finish it here. But we'll see what I can get done. I have a lot of stuff I have to do before vacation. So, yeah, I will check in with you guys later. Hi, everyone. So I haven't done any more reading. Chris and I went to dinner, and then... what did we do? Oh, and then he fell asleep on the couch. And Siri told me to do a work project. So that's what I'll be doing the rest of the night. I will finish the Inimitable Jeeves sometime this next week, before Thursday. And then I will move on to my June TBR. I've pretty much accepted that, like, maybe I already said this. I've accepted that I'm not gonna be able to read High Fidelity or Schmutz. I have too much to do this week, and the Inimitable Jeeves is the priority, and so I'm just not gonna have time to finish both of them. I already asked what my consequence book is. It's fine. But thank you for coming along with me, watching my week. It really does help me to read more, knowing that people are actually watching and somewhat invested in whether or not I get to read, and that you're all interested in my thoughts, and so I really do appreciate it. Go ahead and leave a comment, especially if you have any queer summer book recs, because that's what I really want. But also, if you've read any books that I read this week or have any interest in them, I love to talk about them. Otherwise, like the videos, comments, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.